Go ahead.
Yes. Hi everyone. Thanks for your time today to join today's session. Me, my colleague Mike Ashall and Steve Mundy will be presenting the demonstration for the newly developed feature called as Health Check tool. Let's see what the problem is. What's the problem definition that we want to solve? The first point is when we, as a BMC support, we get the issues from the customers. Then we wanted to reduce the time to debug the customer issues. We want to use the experience that we have so far in the fields and troubleshooting the problems. We want to incorporate that thing into an automated way. The second is we want to find the incorrect tuning which has been done on the environment, and this analysis was used to done manually earlier. We wanted to improvise that and make it in an automated way. And for giving the best performance of the TSOM, the TSpace and the TSIM product, we had developed the best practices, and we wanted to find a quicker way to detect the incorrect best practices settings. In order to address all those three problems, we came up with the Health Check tool, also known as HCT. Seth, are you able to see my desktop clearly, the slides?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Yes. In the Health Check tool, we the tool will check the architecture which is configured. Is it adhering to the BMC Best Practices guide? The tool doesn't make any changes on your system, but it will report the things which are needed to optimize to give the best result for the stability and the reliability. The output of the tool, it gets generated into an HTML report which can be easily viewed in the browser, and at the same time you can open the HTML report in Microsoft Excel. It will discover various misconfigured properties. Take example of there are unrequired white spaces or the control characters. The tool will detect it. It will put the summary of the various configuration issues that we found, including the application configuration, including the incorrect configured operating system. For example, the restrictions on the open files, the RAM restrictions, if the certain session parameters, certain system parameters are not set in the Oracle database, it will detect it. It also has the ability to parse the various important logs, the various configuration related to the GRE tuning, and a few other issues as well that we'll walk through once we go with the demonstration. It detects all those things automatically without any user input. It's smart enough to detect the product home. It's smart enough what are the processes being running on the system and the way it's connecting to the database. There are no user inputs needed for it. For now, the tool is created to work on the versions on or higher than 10.7. And based on that finding, it will put the necessary recommendation. The values that we use as a baseline for doing the tuning recommendation is based on the 11302 best practices. So this is all about what the tool can do to give the better service to the customer for troubleshooting the problem. We'll elaborate the various the things that we just spoke in the earlier slide. The tool will be able to detect the system parameters, which are, take example of the restriction that we want to put the setting for the open files or the core size restriction. Those items related to the system parameters are getting validated with the Health Check tool. The application parameters, for example, the queue size or various things that we do to go towards the better performance on your scale system, which are already documented in our best practices guide, those will be checked by the tool, and depending on what sizing you're running, small, medium or large, it will detect that sizing automatically and give the best recommendation. You must have typically seen one recommendation coming from the support that the max heap calculation for the various JRE processes. For example, we have the rate agent controller and the J server process in TCM, and in TSPS we have the core server and the index server. So for those, depending on the sizing, it will recommend what are all the different JRE tuning parameters that needs to be configured to give the best result. It also parses various important keywords in the log files of the TCM and the TSPS, and it will give the recommendation of what can be done to fix the problem itself. We'll walk you through all those points by showing you the sample HTML report and also by running the tool in front of you so that you will get more idea. We also seen that sometimes because of the user mistake, the same property is copied 2 times in the file, where then the application gets confused and it picks up the incorrect value for the properties and we get into the problem. So those kind of things are easily now discoverable with the tool. It will find out various things which are configured incorrectly in your properties files. Also take example of the setting related to sessions or processes, open cursors. In Oracle, we put the recommendation in our online doc as well as in the best practices guide related to what value should be set for the Oracle database so that it will perform great with the TSIM. Those settings are also automatically detected. Any questions so far so that we will proceed with the demonstration?
No, I think we can go to the demo.
Let's go with the demonstration. The tool as of now is uploaded on the FTP. So take example that when you want to download the tool, you download this zip file. Once the zip file is downloaded, TrueSight health check. The current version is on the FTP side is version 1.2. Once it's downloaded, it should be extracted. In the case of TSIM, extract into the BPM server home folder. And in case of TSPS, extract it to the TrueSight P server home folder. The tool will let down those files. It will have a batch and the shell in it. In the lib folder, it will have one jar file. In the conf directory, it will have various configuration and XMLs which are used for the execution of the tool. And in the script directory, there are various batch and the shell which are also needed for running the tool. Once this zip is extracted into the folder, this folder structure will automatically get created. Inside the home, you will have the utility folder and then is TrueSight health check. Once this folder gets created, you need to navigate to the command prompt to this directory and run the batch or the shell. This is it. Once this is finished, it will tell you what report has been generated. It will have the latest date timestamp after it, so that if you run it multiple times using the date timestamp, you should be able to identify when the tool was executed. Let's go with the quick demo. In order to save the time, I already uploaded the zip file on one of my test servers. And this is the extracted files, which how it looks like. I'm in the TrueSight utility, TrueSight health check folder, the same file where I had downloaded from the FTP and did the unzip onto this directory. And let me run the shell. Once the shell is executed, it will run into 10 phases so that you can understand what's the progress is being happening when the tool is being executed. And it will give the appropriate results on the screen about how the tool execution is happening. It will print the versions, so make sure that the one that you download from the FTP is being showed over here. It will tell you that it's detecting which type of environment, is it TSIM or the TSPS, and what configuration is being using for execution of the tool. In the step 2, it will do the prerequisite check. If the tool doesn't have the resources to run it itself, then it will validate and it will print the message over here. Then it will do the OS configuration checks. It's the same that I spoke sometimes before, that it will check various OS prerequisites that we mandate the user should be doing on the TSIM or the TSPS setup. Then it will check various performance tuning parameters comparing to the best practices guide. And then it will go with the functional checking of the properties file, where it will find out if there is a duplicate property get created or someone put the wrong host names in the properties file. It will detect that stuff. Then it will go for the log scanner in the step 6 of 10, where it will scan various log files in the environment, and it will detect if it finds any problem in it. The step 7 is where it does the database queries. Now sometimes we see that the database is down at the time when the tool is being executed. Then it gives the message that I'm not able to execute the database queries because I'm not able to connect to the database, and it will come to the next phase. The step 8 is for the port check tool. So this is for the customers who has set up the firewalls, and sometimes you may face the problem that the TSIM is not able to communicate to the TSPS, or somehow TSPS is not getting the events from the TSIM cell. In that case, the output of the port check tool would be useful. I'll elaborate this output once I show you the folder which has been extracted after execution of the tool. Step 9 is for collecting the environment data. This is the place where we run few commands and pass the output into the text format. And at the end, it put the consolidation of the report which is being generated. I'll take example of the output which is coming at the bottom for the summary, that it found me 4 critical problems and 2 errors. In order to save the time, I have downloaded the tool's output, and I'll walk you through the output. This is the report which gets generated when you execute the tool. You will have the reports folder. In the report, we have the get system info and the HTML file. Those are the 2 important things. And this is the port check output. Let me open the first one. This is the main summary page. In the main summary page, we have the first line which gives the brief summary of the type of the environment. Now, in my case, it's in TSIM, it's in HA, it's the primary and the large environment. And it tells that Oracle database was running when the tool was executed. When I see the significance of the error that I found, let's take example of the first one, the critical. It tells me that the open file descriptor size was supposed to be 65535, but I have only 1024 on the system. The same applies with the rest of the OS parameter. It tells me that my expected value was 262144, but you have set it a lower value of 65530. You might have faced earlier that there are sometimes we have the crashes in the product. These kind of things also get evaluated. It detects if there are any crashes happen on the system. It will clearly mention the time when it happened, and it will give you the proper resolution for it as well. If the collection which is recommended by our best practice guide and the documentation, if it's exceeding, now take example that 20,000 is the limit of the devices for a large setup, and if it has crossed it 20,300, in that case it will tell that you should validate the collection and take out the devices which you do not need for the monitoring. In each of the topic we'll have the subtopic mentioned on the left hand side. Let's take example, if you want to open the report in the HTML, in the Excel format, you can right click and open with Excel. And you should be able to view the same data, and you can use all the facilities which are available in Microsoft Excel, the filtering or sorting. those things will be available. Now take example of the other report, which is port check. In case of port check, since I executed this on the TSIM server, it tells me that the connectivity with the host and the port with timeout, it was successful, it was reachable. The connection status is success. The similar output will happen once we do execution it on the TSPS server. We'll have the similar output. In case of the text-based output, which we see it from the get system info folder, we have the list of the various debug been turned on, so that the person who is working from BMC side, they will understand what kind of debug setting has been turned on the TSIM server. And in the system info, we have the various output which we normally need it for the troubleshooting, the PIDs of the process. Now the time when I executed the result, what were the PIDs of the system? And also I am capturing the netstart output so that we get information related to the ports being open and the listening at the time when the problem, when you executed the tool. This file will have the various reports related to text-based output, and all the recommendation with the intelligent output has been kept on the HTML file, the one that we saw a few minutes before. In order to save the time, I also executed the tool on the TSPS server. Step for running on the TSPS server remains the same. You need to extract it on the server. In case of Windows, the directory which I have is BMC software, TrueSight utility, TrueSight health check. It's the same directory. In case of TSIM, the folder utility is already created. In case of TSPS, when you extract the zip in the TrueSight P server home environment variable, then the folder will be automatically created. Utility and the TrueSight health check. When I run the tool, it gives me exactly same output, which happens in case of TSIM, that it puts the version and then it executes the step 1 to 10. And progressively you will get the data. Let me open the report which has been generated with this output on the TSPS server. It will generate the similar kind of output. It will detect what environment it is. In my case, it is detected in TSPS in HA. Secondary, it is a medium environment. It detected like that. And in this case, it detected that the VM reservation was not made on the system. And there are some other information. Take example that my scanning is done. And I put an info message that I did not find any crashes happening on the system. Then I could detect that the maxip is set correctly on my system. No action is needed. Wherever you see the info message and the no action needed, that means your system is rightly configured and nothing needs to be done on the system to make any changes. The port check output on the TSPS server will be the other way. Now in my TSIM, I have configured my TSIM with the 443 port. It makes the test connectivity, it makes sure that it's reachable. So this output will be important and it would be helpful to troubleshoot the problem which are related to the TSIM and the TSPS connectivity. Like the TSIM also, it has the get system info where the textual output will be pasted into the plain format. It will have the netstart, it will have the hotfix information and the list of the files which has been configured on the system of the TSPS. Any questions in the demo? Any files that you want me to open and walk you through? Okay, thank you.
So it looks like most of the typed questions have been answered here by Mike and Steve. Are there other things you want to highlight, Nilesh, or should I see if we want to open? Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that?
Yes, we have 2 more slides to cover. I'll proceed with that.
Yes, please.
we'll be sharing the content with you through Seth. Seth will be sharing it. We have this FTP download link where you will find this new version, which is 1.2 being there, and the steps remain the same, which I just demonstrated right now. And if you don't have access to FTP, then there is also a link where the zip file has been already uploaded. You can download from it. And there is a blog. If you want to give a positive, any kind of positive responses or positive feedback would be welcome on this tool block. The next thing which we wanted to highlight was in case of 11.302, that is the last release that we delivered, we found there is one issue related to the file permissions when you are running on the Windows system for the TCM and the TSPS, and there is a technical bulletin being published related to that. Once you do the upgrade to 11.302, you can apply this solution which is mentioned in the documentation link. Seth will be sharing with you. And Mike, you want to add any point in that?
No, it's important. I mean, I know Sharad just made a comment, but I think sometimes we've seen issues with permissions that customers are reporting to us, and also on antivirus or blocking some of these scripts. So as customers report issues or problems or features that which are causing some problems to them, then when we come to the next slide, Nilesh will actually show you what we're going to do. But yeah, so please, if you've upgraded from 11.301 to 11.302, then please review this technical bulletin, because it's important to be successful. Okay, thank you.
In case if you find that some improvement needs to be done on the health check tool, please email to me, Nilesh Deshpande, Steve Mundy, and Michael Ashall @bmc.com. Seth will be sharing those email IDs with you. Next process would be that we'll track what are the requests or improvement or the suggestions coming from you, and we'll make sure it will get addressed in the upcoming uploads. With that, I have covered the agenda that we wanted to cover in today's webinar session. Let me know if you have any questions to be discussed over the phone.
Sure. So folks on the phone, we've still got the Q&A window open if you have additional questions. If you want me to take you off mute, you can send me a message in the chat window with your email, your phone number, so that I can look you up here in the bridge and unmute you. I would like to say that once we get the details, so I will be posting the presentation and the recording on Communities. You can also use that forum to ask questions and make suggestions. So I'll tag Steve, Nilesh, and Mike in those posts. And so if you post a comment or a question there, we'll all get notified, and you can use that as a way to communicate with us as well. So let's see. Looking to just see if there was any other questions. Okay. So there's a question that, since you're checking for the configuration against the best practices for the product, is there any overlap with like what we do with server automation and our compliance and configuration checks, vulnerability management, and so forth, or would that not be covered by those tools?
At the moment, the answer is no. It's not being covered by them tools, but again, there are obviously, we've got a lot of tools in our portfolio, and it's something that if people show enough interest, then we can obviously then go and speak to product management and then discuss that with them in the same way. I think Eric's asked the question of whether or not we could embed this tool into the UI, which we have. Again, we have been discussing that possibility in the future, how we would do that. And if customers could then just click a button and effectively create a health check report, and it would be very easy rather than going to the command line. So everything's possible. It's a question of when we deliver something and we want wanted to get this out very, very quickly, because we see lots of questions coming in around, is my system tuned, is my system configured correctly, and therefore we came up with this tool. At the moment, it covers TSPS and TSIM. The plan is to then move it out into TSIS, and then obviously, as you probably everybody appreciates on this, then we've obviously got the Remedy SSO side of things. We've then got some of the TSAVM, we've got ITDA, and et cetera. So, we're obviously making sure we're not duplicating any effort within some of the other products, but again, we would like to have an easy way for customers to validate that the system is built to best practices. So, please feel free to feedback any information or ideas you've got to Nilesh, Steve or I, and we'll take them on board. We have an internal tracking mechanism at the moment with questions coming in, and we're reviewing them with product management as we go forward. So.
Okay, great. All right, well, I think that's it. I want to thank everybody for your time and attention. And thank you, Nilesh, for presenting. Thanks, Mike and Steve, for facilitating. And have a wonderful rest of your day.